Good morning, 11 a.m. on Saturday, April 27th, 2024. There is an audio confirmation, then turn on desktop audio. And hello, everybody. Good to see you. Got some topics in the description. And I'll come say hello to chat room participants. Ken Stout, 12:26 a.m. this morning, my time. Says first from Las Vegas. I think Las Vegas is on the same time zone currently. And he's second. 8 hours between those two. Chris Garrett, third. Also fourth. And Chris is speaking a foreign language here. Only those of you who are, what? I don't know, is it pure of heart? What is it that you have to be? What is it? What quality do you have to be able to interpret what he's actually saying there? What does that actually mean in English? What is Chris saying? You can make up anything you want. Selden Ball. Hello. Jeff Ryman and Ken, quit stealing my thunder. What was that? Oh, because Jeff was from Las Vegas. They're all in Las Vegas now, having a good old time. Rand Israel, hello. Jonathan, hello. Haven't heard any speaker bot yet. Nobody has tested it for me. Tim Cruz is here, didn't get a notification, he says. How did it go with Ken? Missed you yesterday. Well, go watch that show on Tuesday. Go watch Tuesday's show, you'll see how it went. We had a good time. Turning off the speaker bot repeats. And where to go next? I don't think there's anybody in Zoom. Go take a look. Nope. Quiet, lonely room over there. So here's the topics.
Hi, Doug. God bless you, but I missed you yesterday.
Well, thank you, Tim. Our determine routine hardware disclosure for remote support sessions. Number 5, explore optional features, Windows Sandbox. I have a Windows Sandbox instance open right now. Restore in-service HP Tower computer to cheapest Beelink Mini Computer. DISM export driver. That's going to be to export Beelink drivers and restore them to an HP image.
Hello, Doug.
Thank you to John Williams. With that speaker bot, hello to you. And Explorer, blue screen of death, dump files on Big Beast. I should have said BBB there. Malwarebytes Premium Trial on Baby Beast expires in 2 hours. When I actually wrote that in there, put that topic in, it was 5 hours. Let's go see what it shows now. If I come over here to Malwarebytes, what does it say? Your premium trial is about to end. Doesn't even show number of hours. It's probably less than an hour now. See if I close that and reopen it. Activate subscription, buy now, premium trial expires today. So it hasn't quite expired yet. Video of Big Beast arrival and weighing it. I do want to start with this Beelink because I have to do a restore operation before I can do this. Let's see, I'm going to turn on studio mode and then prepare that. I need to be sure I have blurring turned on. And I have a full-size preview window set up over here on my left-hand monitor. Let's see, where do I get? Oh, I don't. Oh, there it is. Oh, somebody must have done vanishing. And I looked over there. I didn't see me in the picture. I thought I had the wrong picture in picture. Yeah, you sort of did and didn't see that. So let's see. How do I want to do this? Yeah. All right. I'm going to bring this on screen. Get the right thing here. Okay, so there is the image that's on the Beelink currently. This is an image from my client's computer. It is blurred. And I made the image of his in-service working computer and restored it to this Beelink computer. And then we're going to do some things with it. I'm going to start with, let's see, I'll turn studio mode off again. I'm going to be a little careful about how I do this because switching back and forth to studio mode, I'm not real practiced with. Then I'm going to right click on the desktop and turn off all of his desktop icons so that, oh, I can't even tell what that is now. All right, go back to studio mode and bring me on screen so that now I can turn off that blur on the preview screen that I'm looking at. So I can turn blur off, and I want to turn off the display of icons. Yeah, show desktop icons, that. So if I come back and turn blur on, then I can show you when I go to the view menu. I'm highlighting the view menu now at the bottom here, and I'll turn off the display of desktop icons. So there I just hid the desktop icons. So now I can unblur it, I think, and can move forward without having it blurred. But I'm going to check on that. I moved it back to my preview screen. And looking at the icons that are on the bottom of the desktop, they're okay. And what I'm going to do is take you into Device Manager to show the problem. And I'm just looking through that to be sure I'm not going to be exposing anything here, because this is an actual client's computer or image of their computer. Yeah, so that's all good. I'm going to bring this back on screen. So there's the desktop without the icons displayed and the blur turned off. Oh, that's interesting. There. Turn studio mode off again. This is so weird. I'm really happy with OBS free version, the way it does studio mode. It does it better than the paid version of OBS that's from, what is it called? It's not called Streamlabs, is it? What's the name of the company that does a paid version of OBS? And then there's also XSplit that I've used in the past, and it doesn't do studio mode very well. The free version does studio mode really well. So now, if I go to Device Manager, you'll see the reason why I want to export device drivers from, not from the HP computer, but I want to export device drivers from the original image for this Beelink computer and restore them to the HP image. Yeah, that's it. So to get started with this, let's see, this is my client's image here. So I'm going to restore the original image for the Beelink, the factory image, and then export drivers, and then restore this image back to the Beelink and apply the device drivers to this image on this computer. And then we're going to, well, me and my client, we're going to experiment with, I'm going to put this cheap Beelink computer at his desk, and he's going to try actually doing work with it and see how it goes. It is totally an experiment, because it's a more powerful computer than what he currently has, even though this is very cheap. I think the downside of it is going to be the number of cores and threads. This has a low number of cores and threads on this computer. Well, I should show you what it has, because I can show you that even with this image. Now I can go straight back to Capture 2 and show that. Oh, let's see. Do I have... Can I show cores and threads in Task Manager? Or do I need HW info for that? I haven't heard anything from chat for a while. Am I still broadcasting? Is this thing working? I feel lonely. Yeah, there's recent chat messages. Okay, I guess we're still there. Ran Israel, I see topics 4, 5, 6, 7, 10. All right, now where am I at? Can I show cores and threads
Yes,
here?
it is broadcasting.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
4 cores, no hyperthreads.
4 cores, no hyperthreads.
We are here.
But let's display it. I don't know. Do I need hard? I think I need HW info to be able to display those. Or how about just system? I'm going to have to take that off screen when I show that. When I bring that up and be sure it's okay. Testing that.
CPU details in Performance tab.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, there we go.
Me and Bobby are on Zoom, DougBetts.
Okay, thank you. I'll come to you in a little bit here. Then I've got to do this. And get that screen back to where I can see it. Where is it? Where's my preview screen? There it is. It's like it's on cores 4, logical processors. Yeah, logical processors 4. Yeah. So with the number of programs that he'll have open and switching back and forth between them, I'm suspecting that's where he's going to notice it doesn't perform so well. What do you guys think? What do you people think? But the computer that he's using is a over 8-year-old computer, maybe up to 12 years old. All right, I'm going to take that off screen. Come back to here and say hello to some, well, yeah, say hello to people in Zoom.
What is his typical workload and type?
I'll get to his typical workload and type in a moment. Let's go and say hello to people in Zoom. Hello, Tim. Oh, wait a minute. I got to fix a couple things here. Why can't I start my video? Why isn't this clicking? Oh, this is so messed up because I'm looking at the preview screen now. All right, I got to get to the Zoom screen. Oh, I feel like such a Ken Stout right now. And then let's get, okay, I'm going to unmute my microphone so you guys can hear me now, so you can mute your YouTube audio. And we're not hearing you yet. Got to fix them speakers.
Oh no.
Now I can hear you. Hello, Tim.
Hello, Doug.
Hello, Doug.
And Bobby.
Are
Hello.
I had a technician out last Friday. They swapped out my modem. My internet still gets 250 all the way up in my room on my 2017 MacBook Air.
You got an XP8 now. Instead of XP7, now you upgrade to XP8.
All right. Well, did that fix anything for you?
That's out in the main area. It's not in my room.
Fix it in your main area, not in your room. All right.
Yes.
Well, very good. Did you have any topics to bring to the table before I move on?
If you could fix that, fix this maybe.
And tell them about your X5 pods you got too.
I got the X5 pods too, Doug.
Yeah,
The whole package.
So what is wrong? What needs fixing?
I need it a little bit higher for the download.
What is your downloads? What are you paying for?
800.
800. Ah. All right. So you had a technician out to deal with that. And that didn't fix it. Now, what did you say about it fixes it out in the main room?
Yes.
How much? What speed
I
do you
get-
get? What speed do you get in the main room
800 or 840 or something.
on this computer?
Yes, and
You-
on my phone too.
Okay, you carry this device into the other room and you get the full speed, right?
Yes.
Okay, so the problem is your Wi-Fi signal is getting blocked. You're too far away. Maybe try a USB Wi-Fi adapter on your computer. It may have a better antenna. Are you using the built-in Wi-Fi right now on the computer?
I used the built-in.
Yeah, that might be your problem because the antenna on it might not be very good. So if that computer works good when you take it out into the main room where the Wi-Fi router is, you've got a Wi-Fi signal problem, and the most likely source of that trouble is the Wi-Fi antenna in your computer. If you'll buy a USB Wi-Fi adapter, a good one, then that will probably fix that problem.
Yeah. And Anthony, the technician, told me that's buy a USB to Ethernet adapter too.
Yeah, you'll have to run an Ethernet cable out to the main room for that to work.
Yeah. I will try your idea first. Anthony gave me his phone number if there's another problem.
If you don't mind using an Ethernet cable, that would be the better solution.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Okay?
You could connect it to the XI pod and bingo.
Yes. All right. Thank you, Doug.
All right. You're welcome. Okay, I'm going to move back to this computer and get going with that restore operation. All right, close this down, and then I'm going to go again to Studio so that I can bring up Macrium Reflect. Now that image that is on that computer right now for my client's computer has, I believe, Macrium Reflect. So I'm going to bring that up and then bring the computer back on screen. This is fun. I'm laughing about the different buttons that I'm dealing with today. Then I'm going to open that into a windowed projector. Thank you, Tim, regarding the jacket. This is my favorite jacket. Okay, now, this gives the... Oh, you can't tell this, but I have my view of that computer sandwiched on top of the chat room. Then I need to put in I've got a NVMe drive in this Silverstone device that has the image. When I plugged it in, it brought up everything that's on there. Then I'll go to the Restore tab. Browse for an image. Oh, let's see, what else? I have some other images on that device. I'm going to have to take that off screen. Okay, then I'll go maneuver to that external drive, into the Macrium Backups folder. Oh, I don't have that much on there. Okay, so I can show that. I'm not going to bother explaining what just happened there. It's all about me dealing with these buttons and screens. So the image I want to restore to that is the original Beelink image so that I can then get the drivers exported from it. So that's the image. And then open that. And this is showing the current drive. This is the image, and click Restore Image. Select the disk to restore to. And this is showing the SSD drive that's in that computer, which would be an NVMe as well. It's just labeled as an SSD. Oh, yes, and there's this issue too, is that the image that came on the Beelink was a GPT image. So the computer was booting in UEFI mode for BIOS. The image from my client's computer was a legacy BIOS and an MBR image. So when I restored my client's image to the computer, I had to switch the BIOS from UEFI to legacy mode in order for it to work. So when I restore this GPT image back to the drive that's in the computer that's currently booting in legacy BIOS mode, I'll have to switch it back to UEFI. I think I described all that correctly. I'm sure some of you are totally lost with that if you're not familiar with those terms. And this should be a pretty quick. I'm not going to worry about verifying because the images are verified when I created them onto that drive. And then finish. I think this will just take a few minutes.
You can keep using CSM Legacy mode to boot GPT disks, unless you need Secure Boot.
Thank you, Ran Israel. I did not know that. I'm not terribly surprised that that's the case. Build rescue media mode. So this is going to build the rescue media in a, I think it does that in a RAM drive on the computer in order to finish the restore. The computer has to reboot to do that. Now get back to the right mouse, Doug.
I'm Groot.
Well, thank you, Ken. That's really kind of you to say. I enjoyed our time together too. Here's where he was saying that.
Voice activated RGB? Seriously?
Oh, yes, it is. And back behind me, the Big Beast layer. Voice activated today.
Ken is Groot.
Okay, go catch up with chat. How much we got here? For the 18th time, I didn't get the memo about being invited to Las Vegas. Oh, Brian, you didn't go with them, huh? Las Vegas time is the same as California. I thought so. Thank you, Dennis. Good to see you, Dennis. Let's see. The best of you, Alice. Hello. Gonna scan through these pretty quickly here. Brian did the Victor. Looks like Ken Stout's desktop. Oh, the messy one. Or was it the empty one? I think it was the messy one. Rick Lakes, hello. Got that. It says 4 cores, 4 logical processors. Typical workload and type. Yes, what he does. Oh, well, that's, I got mirroring effect there. Didn't realize that. I could fix that better by just making chat wider. So then you don't see that. Typical workload and type. He uses Microsoft Word. He uses a couple of law office programs. He uses a Microsoft Access database. He uses Outlook for email. And he would typically have several programs open, leave them open through the day and switch between them. He uses 2 monitors. So this computer has 2 HDMI ports and it has a Type-C port. I suspect it would do, does it? No.
Then 4 cores is plenty, as long as there's enough RAM.
It does not have a Type-C port. How much RAM does it have? Now this is about to restart and go into the Windows PE environment. Let's see, where am I going to get that back on screen for me? There's the windowed projector view, so I can see it. And then got to change mice. Go to System, 16 gigabytes of memory. So yeah, it's got plenty of memory to be able to have multiple applications open at the same time. All the programs that he has open, they're actually not running, doing things in the background. And I think that's more where you would need the threads. I'm thinking he might be surprisingly, it might work surprisingly well. So I think I answered his workload and type. Dennis using his Amazon Fire Stick cannot do chat. So he's perhaps using his phone for chat here because he is chatting. Depends upon the number of floors, whether they're using 5 or 2.4 gigahertz. I think that's back talking about the Wi-Fi issue. Hello, Martin Hogg. Good to see you. Rick Lakes, Alice. Did the professor join you in Sin City? Ask Brian to Ken. Did the professor travel to join you? Not if he's referring to Alex. Jacket. A little bit cool here this morning because I opened all the windows to get the place cooled down. Ken Stout is on my phone. Not sure how to tag you, but hello, all homies. Ken, that's the thing. Oh, I'm not showing that. On the phone, you have to type the @ symbol and type the full name as you see it here, including the correct spaces. I don't think capitalization matters. I'm not sure, but you have to type it all out. You cannot, it will not pop up that little screen that offers to fill in the name for you in order to tag people. Yeah, Jeff says the same thing. Ken knows it already. All right.
Yes, I'm using my phone for chat.
Okay, thank you, Dennis. If I went to lunch on my own, I'd be on time. Unfortunately, I'd rather go to lunch on my own. DVR 1.75 engaged. Gazist. Can keep using legacy mode for GPT. Doug's impression of Dr. Theopolis, Buck Rogers reference. All over my head. Don't know the reference. I'm guessing, is Tony still with you, Ken? He might not know how his new computer is yet because he hasn't had much time to do anything with it, I think. 22, oh, that computer is 22H2, you noticed. Oh, that's Windows 10. Yeah, so there's no 23H2, there's no H3 on anything. Okay, without reading through it all, I'm caught up. Oops, what do we got here?
Yes, Tony's still with us.
All right, so he doesn't know how the new computer setup is yet. Go to channel. This isn't doing the right thing for me. Click that link. I'm not trying to go to the channel, I'm trying to go to the link. Open link in new tab. Try that. Is it going to go there? It's not getting me there. Come on. You know how to do this. Will it paste that way? There we go. What is he taking me to? Oh, the Buck Rogers thing. So apparently it's voice activated lights. All right. And let's see here. I have this windowed projector for those using OBS. If you click on your broadcast image in OBS, right click on it. You can choose windowed projector, and there's some other choices you can use in order to see the whole image that you are streaming. So this gives you the mirrored effect again until I switch to Capture 2 device. Now we're seeing that device. So instead of it, when you're capturing another computer into OBS and you don't have a monitor connected to that other computer, you can use this method to be able to see a full-size screen of it. And let's see if I show you. Yeah, I can't, when I switch to the actual monitor to try to show you what I'm looking at, you get that mirrored effect. But in that place where you're seeing the mirrored effect, I am now seeing what is being broadcast out on YouTube. So it's a larger window that I can see better. Where am I going here? Why did I come here? Oh, 22H2, that's where that was seen. And what I want to do is close this window, switch to the other mouse, and see how we're doing. So we got the run from Windows PE. I'll click on that. That's going to restart that computer. And since I'm using the capture device, we should be able to see the Windows pre-installation environment, is what PE stands for. And it'll launch Macrium Reflect and perform the restore operation. By the way, on one of my occasions in working with this device, when I was restoring my client's large image from his current computer, I had the Silverstone plugged in for a while, so it was already warm, and it overheated during the restore operation, and the restore operation crashed, locked up. So I took the Silverstone out of the computer, unplugged it, let it cool down, and then got back into Macrium Reflect and began put the Silverstone drive back in the USB port, started the restore operation, and it worked fine because it completed before the thing overheated. This looks to me like we're having a reboot problem. It should be restarting in that Windows PE mode, but the Silverstone, oh, there it is. Okay. I was thinking because the Silverstone drive has a bootable partition. It's a Windows installation bootable partition. That's exactly what it did. It restarted on the Silverstone USB NVMe drive. Oh, good fun. Okay, so the way to handle that is to boot the computer on a Macrim Reflect thumb drive. That way it won't have to reboot to use the Windows PE mode. I'm just going to hold the press the power button and release, see if that'll shut the computer off. No. Hold the power button down. Now, I don't care that I'm interrupting a Macrim Reflect restore operation that was in progress, because that was in progress on the image that was, or still is, on that computer. And we're going to be replacing that. I have removed the Silverstone drive and plugged in the Macrim Reflect drive so that the computer will boot on that drive. Will it boot on that drive without going to the NVMe? I think I modified the boot drive order in BIOS so that it will boot off of a USB device first. Yeah, there we go. Macrim Reflect. I'm going to go ahead and plug in the Silverstone drive. I'll just refer to it as the Silverstone drive because you know that contains an NVMe drive that has the backup images on it. Oh, look at that. It's going to start the automatic restore. That's interesting. Or it tried to, and it failed. This is not the Windows PE environment, right? Yes, it is. All right, that was all weird. Let's just go start the restore operation again. This will be, no, that's the drive I booted on. The Silverstone isn't even recognized here. Let's do a refresh. Yeah, the Silverstone's a 1 terabyte, so it's not even being seen yet. Check the Windows PE File Explorer, see if it sees the drive. Does not. I have no light flickering on the Silverstone drive. Plugging it into the back. Still did not see a light. Really? I'm wondering if there's something about how I interrupted that Windows PE restore operation, and it was using that Silverstone drive, and then unplugged it and replugged it back in. Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. All right, let's just try starting over again. That's the projector view, that's make and reflect. Okay, so then this should cause it to restart. And let it restart on my client's image. We'll go back to studio mode. It went back into Macro and Reflect without any USB drives connected. So what do I have now? Okay, there it's restarting. I'm coming back to chat. Ay, caramba. Puppets posing? The mini Dougs in the back, aren't they still playing Beat Saber? Yeah, they are. Brian to Ken, Tony's moving to Indianapolis. Last night, Tony said the new computer is doing well, including the formerly problematic drive. Oh, so the problem drive is working. Yeah, he did get a day back in Seaside before Ken and Lorna kidnapped him to go to Las Vegas, right? And for those who don't know, we had Ken and Lorna and Tony over here at my house on Tuesday, and then later in the day, Tim Sal and Brian Lightfoot and Jose Alvarez all came over, and we had a great dinner together. It was Vietnamese, no, gosh, sorry, Filipino food.
New country.
All right, who do we got here coming in on Zoom? I'm going to bring you up and find out. I haven't even seen the Zoom screen yet, so I don't know. Oh, Jim. Hello, Jim.
I'll do. I gotta get this thing muted. Hang on a second.
All right.
There we go. Doing too many things at once.
Yeah, I'm feeling that way right now. Did you have any?
You will never live that Vietnamese comment down.
Did you have any comments or topics to bring?
No. I see that your two previous guests on Zoom kind of abandoned you. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks.
No
for
surprise
coming.
there, quite frankly,
Yeah.
but whatever.
All right. Let's go see what's going on with this computer now. Oh, it has got to a backdrop wallpaper screen waiting for me to log in. I'm going to take that off screen and log in so it doesn't expose my client there. And there's Studio, and then I can bring that up on the Studio preview screen so that I can see it. And do the login, because this is logging in with my client's credentials. Got to use the right keyboard. Okay, so that's back logged in, and let's see. Yeah, I don't want to do that same method of doing the restore operation from the Silverstone, because the Silverstone has a bootable partition on it, which is Windows installation. When the computer tries to restart, in order to complete the restore operation, it's going to boot the Windows installation. So I'm plugging in a Macrim Reflect thumb drive, and I'll restart the computer on that and perform the entire restore operation from the thumb drive. So I believe I have this computer configured to do a to look for thumb drives first, but I'm just going to take the extra step of holding down the shift key when I choose restart, so that it will give me the advanced startup choices, and I can select to restart on the USB thumb drive. There's use a USB device, use a device, and then neither of those are the right one. UEFI built-in EFI shell, or UEFI PXE IP4. Oh, that's the Ethernet controller. So neither of those are right. I'm gonna guess, is there something wrong with the USB port on this? Oh, you know what? All those absent device drivers. No, it should still be able to read a USB device. Okay.
Might depend on if there's more than one USB port, it might have to be in a different one.
Yeah, I've booted off of this USB port before. I have seen some computers be stubborn about recognizing a USB port until actually even restarting the computer with it, with the device in. But that's just not, those choices are not right. And I can't get back to the desktop from here. Can't get to startup settings. What does that say? Change Windows startup behavior. These options don't have anything, so let's just go to continue. If I have the BIOS set up to boot first off of the USB, this should still get us to the right place. Oh, I see Ken has left us, or
He
said
turned
he's
off the
going
computer.
to. Oh, you're right. I turned it off. Pressing the power button. Took that off screen while it's restarting in case it gets all the way to the login prompt. All right, it came back to macro reflect off of the thumb drive. So now I'm going to go ahead and plug in the Silverstone. And get that on a windowed projector view so that I see it better. Still not seeing the Silverstone device. Remove Silverstone, remove the Macrium boot drive because it's already booted and Macrium loaded. Putting the Silverstone back into the USB port that had the Macrium drive, which is nothing particular about doing that. That should have helped. That should help matters, because I've had both of those front USB ports responsive and working. There's a C drive. Yeah, it's not there.
Is the enclosure itself functional?
Well, it was. I was using the enclosure earlier today and saw the files on there. I'm going to go ahead and open it up and reseat the NVMe drive. Let's do. Might as well put that on camera.
So basically, it's trying to make a liar out of you.
I've been caught lying many times on this show. Don't you think?
Well, I wasn't going to say anything, but
lying or just wrong. Let's see what I can do with focusing that better. Okay. Great, that screwdriver doesn't fit. That one fits perfect. I usually do backups and restores using a phantom external drive, and for some reason when I worked with this computer I decided to do it on this NVMe drive. So I took this drive into my client's office, plugged it into his computer, and did the backup from there. So here's the NVMe drive, and the screw, the head for the screw is on the other side of this circuit board.
Okay, I found this on the web for who is the MVP drive, and the screw they had for the screws on the other side of the circuit board. Check it out.
I wasn't talking to you. That was my cell phone. Okay. So Western Digital Blue. You might be able to see better than I do there. 1 terabyte. 3D NAND SATA M.2 2280. That's upside down. I don't think I even need to take that screw out, did I?
That drive seems to have 2 notches. Are you sure it's an NVMe?
You know what? No, it's not. It's an M.2 SSD. SATA. No, not NVMe.
Does that enclosure cover both?
I believe so.
Okay. Some do, some don't.
I mean, I've had it. It's been functional for me. I had not been using this for some time, but it was completely functional for me in the past. This is not a magnetic screwdriver, and I don't need that tiny little screwdriver for this screw. But this screw is just to hold the mounting brass down. It doesn't actually fasten on the drive itself. I'm deducing that the drive is held in place only by the cover. Oh, no, I see what's wrong. I've got this thing wrong. It probably was assembled correctly, but now that I'm looking at this closer, let's see how I can get the focusing right on this. See, that brass part I've got mounted upside down right now. There's a notch that's closer to the circuit board. That notch, I believe, is where the cutout in the M.2 drive is supposed to insert. All right. I think it was assembled correctly. When I took it apart, it all just kind of fell out in my hands because I didn't realize there were so many parts to this thing. And that also makes the bottom of that brass component fit into the hole in the circuit board. That feels a lot more stable and it looks more flat. And then if I go this way, and the screw, yeah, it does insert from the bottom of the board. All right, gotta put the brass piece into the socket of the M.2 drive and then press it down to the board and then insert the screw That was not an easy to assemble design. And then here's another part that falls out when you disassemble it, and that's the switch, or not. It's not a switch, but it's the retract lever to be able to retract the USB from the slot in the case. Oy vey. I wonder if I can magnetize this little screwdriver. I have no recollection where I got this bar magnet from. Yes. It worked. Are you watching chat, Jim?
I wasn't, but I can take a quick look.
Appreciate it. Okay.
Okay. There was a suggestion a while ago to try F8 when you're trying to boot off of something. I'm not sure I understood that.
Just to select the boot device, but this computer is booting off of a USB that's connected because I apparently did change the boot order in BIOS. Okay, so now I've got Macro Reflect back up on screen on that computer. And it's weird that I go to the view menu and the refresh is not available to click. Try refresh down here. This Macrium backups here is, I commonly will set up a partition on the computer and call it the M drive. The computer this image came from has its own M drive partition, but that's not part of the backed up image. Now, still not seeing it. I think I'm probably going to abort this effort. If I can't restore that image, then I can't extract the drivers. I don't have that image anywhere else. I may wind up having to get a new image if I can't get this drive functional.
Can you test the enclosure in Big Beast or Baby Beast?
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, I heard a recognition there. Take that projector view off of monitor 1 so I can come back to monitor 1. Bring up File Explorer. Now it looks like this drive right here. Yeah, so the drive's working. It's just not working in that computer. How about, oh, that computer is currently in legacy mode. Is there any potential that it can't read that drive due to legacy mode. Well, that's easy enough to just switch it to UEFI mode and see if that does the trick. Saber it? Silverstone is the enclosure I have.
That should only apply to bootable drives.
Well, that is a bootable drive, but I wasn't trying to boot off of it. This M.2 that's in this enclosure has two partitions. One's a bootable partition, the other is strictly a partition to store backups. I said put both drives.
That is why I said put both drives into the mini PC boot up using F8.
Oh, okay, so
that
I
mini
could
PC,
select it.
Many only enumerate drives on boot API.
All right. Okay, so I think, Greg, what you're saying is that this mini PC might only be able to recognize drives that are connected on boot up, if I'm understanding that right. Okay, that's interesting. And let's go to F8. Oh, switch mice. Tapping
Is there enough
F8.
space on the internal M drive to copy both images so that no USB devices are needed?
I think so. Jim you didn't hear the speaker bot I just replied to, but you can read it. Now I got a spinning circles there. It's booting something. Yeah, it's booting Macrium. Well, that's okay. If it boots Macrium and recognizes the Silverstone, then we might be in business. Because last time I booted the Macrium, I didn't have the Silverstone plugged in until after it started booting Macrium. No. All right, with both of them just connected, not doing any keyboard.
Is the drive visible in disk part?
Okay, Ran, I acknowledge that. Is the drive visible in disk part? Now, if I go back and restart to my client's image that's still on the internal drive, I suspect we'll be able to see the files that are on that drive. In fact, we did, because we used Macrium Reflect when we were in the Windows desktop to begin the operation. In the Macrium Live image. Yeah, I figured that's what you meant. I just allowed it to restart with both drives in place. And so both of those drives that were plugged into the USB port, they were both had bootable partitions. And it so happened that it took the one that has Macrim Reflect. And it's still not seeing the other drive. I understand the question about using this part to see if it's there, but what are you going to do? What are we going to do if it is there? That's just a piece of information. I don't see that's going to make a change to what we can do with it. Oh, whoa, whoa. Okay, I used my down arrow key to keep us here for a little bit. We've got a Macrim Reflect system recovery because it created that recovery.
Maybe the disk is visible and you only need to assign a drive letter.
Okay, Rand, I'll accept your point here, but this is an interesting opportunity we have here. I can choose an operating system because when we created the PE environment, that actually created an alternate boot operating system on the internal drive. So selecting that now should boot that system and perhaps just go ahead with the recovery operation that it was trying to do. When I originally clicked to allow it to restart the computer to continue the restore operation, I'm thinking that the computer booted to the Windows 11 installation, 10 or 11, I don't know what's on there, instead of Macrim Reflect. Now at this point, it's already accepting the hard drive boot partitions that are available, or operating systems that are available, and I'm going to choose Reflect here, so I can go ahead and plug in the Silverstone. I'm hoping I'm putting it into the same slot that it was in when I started the restore operation. I don't know if that matters. And if we get lucky, it might just go ahead and complete the restore operation I already requested. All right, what do we got going on here? So is the mini PC in CSM mode compatibility? I'm not certain about that. Yeah, I get your point now about assigning a drive letter to it. Yeah, here it booted the Windows installation that's on the Silverstone drive. All right. bring the Silverstone back out. So I may be able to not put the Silverstone drive in so early in that boot process, because I selected the Macrium Reflect partition to restore from, but with that Silverstone installed, apparently it goes through a reboot and it reevaluates what to boot from at that point. So now if I restart again just on the internal drive, I should get the choice of which operating system to boot. And if I choose the Macrium to boot from and wait until I see the Macrium splash screen before connecting the Silverstone, but will the computer recognize the Silverstone if it's not in place at the right time? Okay. This did not boot to the internal drive. What did this boot to? This booted to the Macrium. I just plugged in the Silverstone. And then we'll go to disk part and see if it's there. No. Well, nice thought, but no cigar. Oh, F12 might be the boot menu key from Wintermute.
Yeah, you would think that something would be consistent across manufacturers, but no,
Yeah.
it's not. It's not.
Please.
Some it's F11, some it's F12, some like HP is Escape.
And I have a keyboard that has the FN key in order to get the alternate functions. Some keyboards will have an FN lock key. This one does not. So it's unclear to me whether I need the FN key. So I tap it about once for every other press of the F12 key. That's what I'm doing now. And did it just turn off? No, I've got a power light. It's not off. Oh, there's the Beelink logo. Lawn Dog's asking about disk part, whether it is able to see and list USB devices that are connected. I'm not
As far as I know, it can.
Yeah, I can't say that I've done that often enough or recently.
I will tell you that in a moment.
All right. Yeah, this is launching again into, I think, probably the Windows installation, sure enough.
Windows 10, yes.
Disk part
The answer
does.
is yes, it'll show a USB device.
All right.
Because I just did this part on my machine and did list disk, and the only things that are plugged into this machine is the SATA SSD that I'm doing installation on and the thumb drive. That's it. It sees them both.
Well, I just got into BIOS with a delete key. If I come over to boot and change from legacy to UEFI, save and exit, and what I'd be interested in here is, will the Macrium boot then recognize the Silverstone? Mom Dog says thank you to Jim.
It was easy enough to check. Like I said, I'm doing several things here. So one of them is resetting this machine again back to 10, and then we're going to do there's another, I don't know, either revision or something, the 24H2. I'm going to see if I can do, I did the clean install. That was no problem. I want to see if I can do the upgrade. So,
okay. Gray Wolf asking, can I check the USB connection with another device to see if the socket is operational? I have seen both of those front sockets operational today on that computer. All right, that's Macrium rebooted, and plugging in the Silverstone after Macrium got booted. I have been able to connect USB drives in the past with Macrium already up. That did not restore access. Now let's see if I put in So I'm going to go ahead, I moved the Silverstone to the next USB port on the front. But the fact that this refresh is grayed out, that... Oh, when I go to the backup tab, refresh is available. On the restore tab, refresh was not available. I'd be blown away if that solved it. Did not. Even on the backup tab, when that is recognized, it should show up on the backup list, I think. Okay, moving the Silverstone to back USB ports. Only have one available. The second USB port on the back has my wireless keyboard dongle. Connecting the Windows thumb drive to the front USB port number 1. And it shows up. So there, I plugged in a USB port while Macrium Reflect is up and running, and it is able to see the small drive that has the Macrium Reflect operating system on it, bootable operating system. Okay. At this point, the image that's on the internal drive will fail to boot because I'm currently in UEFI mode, and that image is a legacy image. Yep. So the front USB port number 1 works with that Macrium drive. Now I've moved it to the second port on the front, and it is visible. So both front ports working with the Macrium bootable thumb drive. Anybody want to see what happens if I try to boot the internal image on while I have a UEFI BIOS? It's really ugly. Okay, so I'm going to go into, there's a Windows 10 image that it sees. Thinking of my, let's see, we're in, okay, so this is going in. I think what I just described was backwards. If I try doing it the other way is when it gets ugly. This is, I went to UEFI BIOS, and I have an MBR image on this drive, and that works, because that's backwards compatible. The other way around is what doesn't work. When if you have a GPT partition and you're trying to boot and you have the BIOS in legacy mode,
I don't think that no working.
That's the one that's real ugly. Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
that no working.
That's more ugly. All right, I'm going to take that off screen so I can log into it. Go to studio mode. And I can see this in my windowed mode OBS display. So it's large that I can see things, and then sign in with my client's credentials. The desktop icons are turned off. Bring this up on screen. Turn studio mode off. And then connect the Silverstone into the front USB port number 1. And boom, it comes right up. So the Silverstone enclosure is working.
The enclosure's working, the drive's working. So the question is, what in the hell?
Yeah, so I'm thinking what I haven't tried yet is a truly native booting Macrium Reflect to the Macrium Reflect thumb drive without starting from the internal, the Macrium Reflect that's installed on my client's image. But I have tried that. I have tried booting from the, oh, wait. Maybe. Maybe. I have, now anybody who wants to hate on Macrium Reflect, this might give you ammunition. I don't know that this is a Macrium Reflect issue because I don't know what's causing this issue. I'll show this on keyboard. I have a on the keyboard cam. Let's see. I'll get this focused here in a minute so you can see what I have. And I think this is kind of valid for us to show in this community. We kind of acknowledge that things don't always go the way that you expect working on computers. And so this is an issue that is just a bit puzzling. I'm going to take the effort here to focus this for you so you can see what I've done. There, I think you can read that. And turn these right side up. So I have 4 thumb drives here, all with Macrium Reflect. The one on top is labeled Macrium Windows 10 and Macrium Windows 11, Macrium RAID, Macrium Dell RAID. The Dell RAID and the RAID both were made off of computers that were using okay, that name that I keep saying that I can't remember.
Optane.
Optane, thank you. I told myself last time I was thinking about this that I should just remember the word octane, that it goes faster. The Optane was supposed to have made things go faster, and that's true when you have a spinning drive. Probably. So it has the drivers for an Optane configured computer. The Macrium Windows 11 was made off of a Windows 11 computer, but I don't know what makes it significantly different. But I have had occasions where I find that one of those will work on a computer and the other won't. And what is the circumstance that causes that to happen? I've not figured out. So if I put in that Windows 11 Macrium Reflect and restart the computer, what is going to happen? It just shouldn't be this difficult.
You would think.
I wonder if they're hiring bus driver trainees. Let's try shift click on restart. Because at the moment I have 2 bootable thumb drives in place. Now when I say use a device, the built-in EFI shell, but it's picturing a CD drive and a USB drive. I don't understand I don't know what this is. I'm going to try that option, and then we'll try F12 as it's booting. This is the ugly screen that happens when you've got a mix-up of legacy or UEFI boot mode. At least what I've seen happen on that occasion. I've removed the Silverstone enclosure and then Control-Alt-Delete. Tapping on F12 and occasionally hitting FN key. Danielle, yeah, all these drives that are Macrium labeled Macrium Reflect, they are recovery drives. They were created by virtue of being in the Macrium Reflect installed version of the program and making a recovery drive. Okay, now at this point, I do not have the Silverstone in place. The difference now is that I'm using a different Macrium Reflect thumb drive to boot the computer. I just plugged in the Silverstone enclosure. I can't do the refresh on the backups tab, so I'll go on the existing backups. I'll go to create backups and do a refresh. And it is showing, yeah, there, oops, yeah, right here. Here's the Silverstone. So that solved it, is by booting on the other version. Now this is, oh, you know what? I saw the reboot. I saw Macrium Reflect version 7 on one of our prior instances. I think the version of Macrium Reflect that's installed on my client's image is version 7. This thumb drive is version 8. The other thumb drive that we were booting on is
So there was a glitch in the other Macrium
8.
live image.
Yeah, I think it might have been more because of the version of Macrium Reflect rather than the image itself, perhaps. I'll need to check. I'll probably do that later about what version of Macrium Reflect is on that other thumb drive. And if that's the difference, then I'll relabel that thumb drive. Okay, so existing backups, browse for an image file, and then double click there, Macrium backups, and you saw Fab's backups folder there too. And then I want, let's see which one I want to get back to the Beelink image. Yeah, and that I've got that labeled in here. I've told you before how I will label backups very specifically so I know what it is. It's for this S12 Mini 12th Gen N100. It was a $179 purchase.
Rewinded and checked. The other image is 7.2 based.
The other image was 7.2. Okay. Thank you, Ran. It's never been connected to the internet, so it has no updates installed. It is activated, and it was a username of admin with no password. And then I'll click Restore. I've got the image selected down here. Click Restore. Select a disk to restore to. And that'll be the one that currently contains a C drive. So here, this top row is the image and the partitions that are on that image. And this down here is what's on the drive currently. Currently, the drive has an MBR partition type, and we're restoring a GPT partition type, and we recently changed the boot type from legacy to UEFI, so we won't have to do that again. Let's see, where's this? Oh, there. What we got here. I'm not going to verify before restore because I care about verifying when I'm making a backup, not so much when I restore. Not in particularly in this case, because we're just restoring an image to grab drivers. It'll automatically copy the selected partition, so I don't have to do this copy operation from here. We get a warning message. All target volume data will be overwritten.
Warning, Will Robinson, danger, danger.
Yeah. Now this is the restore operation that I said should be fast because it's a very small image. The C drive is 26 gigabytes. Laughing at Lawn Dog's comment about billing Macrium Reflect for our lost time and productivity. No, because if I would have done things the way that they prescribed, I would have had current versions of Macrium for every piece of this step that I did. So they would rightfully respond with, no, it was user error.
Yes, that's the old PEBCAC. Problem exists between keyboard and chair.
Right. I always get this little hesitation when I hear that PEBCAC because it's so close to PEBCAB. Put a B on the end of that, and those are the that becomes the initials of my mother and my father, which was used a lot to label things. Restore operation completed, 1 minute and 43 seconds.
Boy, if only this reinstall of Windows 10 took 1 minute and 33 seconds.
Right. So we
it's old hardware, so yeah, it's taking a while.
So if that took 1 minute and 43 seconds, that must mean we're only into this video by about, what, 2 minutes and 15 seconds?
There you go. Yeah, 13 minutes to go.
So that was complete. And then close macro reflect, pull out the drives. Restarting on the internal drive. I believe the BIOS is in UEFI mode. It's a UEFI, well, it's a GPT image we restored, which would require UEFI.
Yeah, we got the little spinning thingy, so that was good.
Got a username admin. And there we go. Okay, so now go grab that command for exporting the drivers. Got that up on screen here because I pulled it up before starting the show. The dism/export driver. Specify a destination of the Silverstone drive. So I'm going to plug that drive back in. Yeah, or PMP util export driver. I don't know the difference with this PMP util. And I'm not connected remotely to that computer, so I can't just do a copy and paste. That image does not have my remote software, so I'm just going to type the command in. And I can bring that up on top. Let's get, here's the projector, and I've got to switch back so that I'm broadcasting this the computer, and then go to a command prompt. And let's do Windows key CMD so I can launch command prompt as administrator. Don't know if that's required. I want to see what drive letter the Silverstone is recognized as. D drive. No. E. Yeah, D drive would be the bootable partition for the Windows installation. E drive is the one. Let's create a folder there for Beelink. I'm not going to say Beelink drivers because I don't want to type that much. Dism. Online, because this is the booted operating system. That's what online is referring to, as I understand it. Export driver, destination. Did I say E drive? Yes, E drive. Where's the mouse? Where's the mouse? There it is. eDrive Beelink. So eDrive Beelink. Enter. Destination missing a required argument. No, let's see. What am I missing? Export driver, DISM online, destination, full path of folder. I did that.
No space between destination and path.
Oh, got it. Got it. No space between destination and path. Thank you, Ran. In fact, I believe I've made that mistake before when I did this operation. You okay, Jim?
Yeah.
All right. Off and running. Yeah, we're both laughing. Iran Israel says sip. Don't
Yeah,
go.
well, that's not what's actually going on. What's going on is lunch is coming around the second time.
Oh.
It was a good lunch, but apparently I'm paying a little bit for it.
Sounded like a hiccup rather than a burp.
Elements of both.
Now, actually, the first time that I did this, interesting thing is I was trying to install Windows on a computer that needed a specific driver. So Windows wasn't recognizing that there was a drive present at all. So I went back and exported the drivers and then went to do the Windows installation. And when you get to the place in the Windows installation where you can install a driver, it will not scan through all the folders that are created by virtue of this. You have to specify the folder for the driver. So it took a little while to figure out which folder had the driver. Now in this Beelink folder, there are a bunch of folders. Each folder contains drivers. And when we go into Device Manager, we can simply specify the Beelink folder and it will look through all of these folders to find the driver that works for the device in question. And this particular, like I said, I've done the export before for the purpose of getting that drive, that internal drive driver, but I have not done it for this operation where I'm trying to install the drivers that are missing when restoring an image to a computer, other than the original computer that the image came from. All right, so now what I want to do next is restore my client's image back to this computer, which means booting Macrim Reflect off of that same thumb drive that was working for us. And I want to remove the Silverstone so that it doesn't boot to the Windows installation. So I've removed the Silverstone, putting in the thumb drive for Macrim Reflect, and then restart the computer. I do not think that I need to be pressing any keys because I believe I changed the boot order in BIOS. So if there's a bootable drive, thumb drive connected, it will do that first. Oh, okay, I get it. Ran Israel had a comment a while back that I didn't understand and didn't read it out. It said, sorry for all the nasty things I said about Beelink, but didn't type. So, because I was trying to think, what nasty things did he say about Beelink? And I didn't quite go look for them, but I figured they were there. But no, he didn't put them in chat. Oh, now wait a minute, Ran. Are you saying that Beelink is redeemed in your eyes for some reason?
Oh, I don't know that he'd go that far.
I don't know. I don't know that we've done anything that really highlights the virtues of Beelink, but if you did find something of redeeming value, let me know. Now, I'm not condemning it either. It's just hard to believe that this cheap of a computer is going to perform well, but I want to find out, and my client's intrigued in checking it out. He says, Rand says, let's say it's been relocated from hell to purgatory. So that implies you saw something in this process that you find redeeming. What is that? Exists. Let's see. I just plugged in the Silverstone. Then I'll go to create backups and refresh, and then go back to the existing backup tab. Yeah, here's here's the Silverstone. So it is recognized. So I think the whole thing was because I had an older version of Macrium Reflect that somehow doesn't get along with the 1 terabyte M.2 drive. Not NVMe, I'll call it an M.2 drive. Now then, browse for an image. This restore operation will take longer. And this one is this image. 75 gigabytes. It's not huge. And then click on restore. Select a disk to restore to. Select the one that has the C drive. Let's get this. Why is that way up off the top edge of the screen? I've seen this effect before. That window's way off the top edge of the screen. Let's see, can I get, all right, it just jumped down for some reason. Drive partitions. So here's the partitions on my client's image. I told you that it has a M drive partition. That's this 456 gigabyte empty space. Now we're restoring this from a 1 terabyte, a computer that has a 1 terabyte drive, to this Beelink computer, which is half a terabyte, 512 gigabytes. And when I click to copy partitions, it's going to ask, do I want the exact partition offset or shrink or extend to fill the target disk? Now, I think I had an issue here that I just clicked to shrink or expand. There's a 32 megabytes, 549. So this one expanded a little bit, the system reserve partition. This one, 443, 526, came down exactly. And this one, 11.46. 475, it extended a little bit to fill the area. Off and running, and all target volume will be overwritten. Continue. Now, if I was doing this from the installed version of Macrium on the subject computer, then it would be prompting me here to create the rescue partition or alternate boot system, and it would reboot the computer and complete the operation. This is off and running now. It has completed operation 1, and operation 2 is in progress. That's the C drive. When it finishes the C drive, then it'll have operation 3, which will be that last small partition. All right, I'm going to Come back over and look at chat. I think I've caught up with all the chat messages, although I haven't read everything out loud. In fact, relocated from hell to purgatory. The fact that the fault was with the old Macrium image and not not this piece of, nope, I promised I won't type that. Okay. And yeah, I gave you a clue at one point about if you like to hate on Macrium, I might be giving you ammunition. However, it looks like it was my misdeeds by having an old version of Macrium around here. To me, this operation of moving the operating system is going along pretty quickly. The reading and writing seems to be relatively fast. Well, let's go show you where it's at then. Let's see, what's it telling us here? We got overall progress. When it's done, I think we see a bits per second report. I've on occasion heard people say that they use a particular backup software doing a backup operation and restore, and they say it's so fast, and they never talk. I don't hear them saying anything about bits per second or what the size of their operation was, because of course that makes a difference. The 75 gigabytes was not just the operating system. That was my client's fully installed functional computer. The backup that originally came on this Beelink, when we restored that, it was like 25, 22 gigabytes, something like that. This my client's installation has multiple programs. You saw all the icons on the desktop. I described the programs that he uses, but all of his data is stored on the file server. So the next step of this is going to be to, wait a minute, what are we doing now? Yeah, I'm restoring my client's operating system, which has the missing drivers. Then we're going to use the drivers that we exported to the Silverstone enclosure and see if that will fix all of the missing drivers that are showing in Device Manager. With my client's image restored to the computer, I have not tried Windows Update. I wanted to try this first, taking the drivers from the Beelink original operating system and see if I can fix all of those driver errors before connecting the computer to the internet. And we saw that massive number of folders. See, am I at a point where I can display that now? Yes, I am, because we are in the, yeah, the Silverstone is connected. So I can bring up the Macrium file manager and go see those folders, right? Yeah, because here's the Beelink. So all of these folders, scrolls down, scrolling, all of those drivers came off of the Beelink image. Now, it doesn't mean all of those drivers are currently missing from the restored client's image. Those are just drivers that are available to fix the issues. There's drivers there for the chipset, for the USB ports, for everything that Windows has drivers for. As I understand it. 99%. This is the operation 2 of 3. When that reaches 100%, which it just did, then it does operation 3 of 3, which is very quick because that's a tiny partition. And then restore completed in 7 minutes, 12 seconds. And let's see, I said that I thought it was going to give us a bits per second speed. Don't see it here. Does that only happen on backup, maybe? I know I've seen it before. Okay, I'll click OK to... Oh, there it is, right here. Read it. Why didn't I see that? Was it there and I just wasn't seeing it? Or did it show up after I clicked that window away? Read 26.2 gigabits per second, write 4.6 gigabits per second. Lawn Dog, if you want to do that math, go ahead. I'm not going to bother with it. Okay. Now, anything else we need to hear before I click away from here? I haven't paid any attention to these. Offline Hive found, reg set value, registry updates. All right, whatever. Now those speeds, I don't know where, at what point that you take into account compression. I'm suspecting those speeds were doing a calculation of the actual bits that were transferred, but compression could make that vary and have improved that. What was that blink that just happened? I just had everything go black on me. I think it was just the Beelink computer capture. All right, so close Macrium Reflect, pull the drives out. This restored image is a MBR image. The computer is in UEFI mode, so it should boot fine because UEFI mode should be backwards compatible. Moving the USB drives. Rand says I'll need to enable CSM, compatibility mode. You know what? I bet that's what yeah, because here I have this same problem here. That's why I ran into this before. Just CSM mode and leave the BIOS in UEFI mode, which means later I can upgrade the partition to GPT in place.
Yeah, that's a command line thing.
Yeah. So let's see. Now I need it's probably advanced first. There's CSM configuration. Enter on that. CSM support, enable it. And then let's see. Rand says CSM doesn't disable UEFI GPT mode. They coexist. Yeah, understood. It's, let's see, what explanation? Oh, it just says enable, disable CSM. It doesn't give any explanation of what it is here. Save changes and exit. Some BIOSes will explain what the menu options do beyond enable or disable the option. Some just give you that much. Oops, nope, that did not fix it up. I'm thinking I might have to go to legacy. Is there anything I'm missing there, anybody? Press escape in 4 seconds to skip, start NSH, or any other key to continue. I don't think there's anything I want to do in there. This is my original experience with this. I didn't even try CSM mode, but I switched to legacy mode and then it booted fine. So what we're finding here is CSM mode indeed was not sufficient for this to work. Is there something else here? What about this boot option filter, UEFI only? This option controls legacy UEFI ROM's priority. If we, this makes sense. Enable CSM and then allow both to work. If we don't have CSM disabled, is that that option's not even there. So CSM enable, but then you also have to choose this, UEFI and legacy. That's what I think. Waiting for chat to respond. What do we have down here? Storage UEFI controls execution of UEFI and legacy storage operation. This looks to me like I might need to choose legacy here. Because if I have CSM disabled, that option down there for UEFI versus legacy is not even available. So enable this, have this on UEFI and legacy, and I think in this BIOS, maybe some
the necessary changes.
Maybe some versions of BIOS you don't need to make this change here. But so, Ran Israel, you're thinking I do not need to change this storage setting. Well, let's go find out. He says no. And he may be wrong. Okay, we'll go change that storage from UEFI to legacy. Rand says he's surprised at that. Is there anybody around here that does not get surprised when working on computers? I don't care what they say, nobody knows it all. Any individual could be very, very knowledgeable on specific things that they've done a lot in the past. And if they've done things on one computer in the past and it worked a certain way, and then they expect it to work the same way on another computer, it may be in for a surprise. Whoops, now it's still not working. Okay, how about a power off and power on? Now we're getting into the realm of hacking, hammering on it.
Look at the boot menu in UEFI setup.
Okay, so power off and on didn't work. So now Ran is saying look at the boot menu in UEFI setup. Okay, there's a boot menu over here, and this is the boot menu in UEFI setup. Boot mode select, UEFI. So here's UEFI versus legacy. So we tried the CSM, that didn't do it. We made some additional settings within CSM, 2 additional settings, that didn't do it. Now over here in boot mode select, I'm thinking choose legacy. When I first went through this, I did not do anything with CSM. I just went straight to choosing legacy here. Now to make the point on that, if I'm remembering correctly, my prior experience, I'm going to set these back to what they were originally and change this one to back to what it was, UEFI only, and then disable this. I believe my prior experience, just checking to make sure that's stuck, was that it was sufficient just to change this from UEFI to legacy. And here you do see that I have the USB device as the first boot option. Nothing else in here to change. If this works, then that reopens the question to me, when do you need to use CSM? Ah, then it didn't work. That bus driving job is more and more attractive. Now he's saying enable CSM. Okay. All right, looking here to be sure that this legacy stuck. And then we'll go back and enable CSM. And to go as full what likely to be right, we'll take all of that. So CSM enabled, HDD connection order, adjust or keep. I think that's the most likely to work that we could do. Now Rand is saying don't change storage. He wants to keep storage on UEFI. Really? All right.
Interesting.
I'll try it.
They've changed something.
Okay. Save changes and exit. Lawn Dog proposing we may have something else going on, like the drive not being bootable or the image not being bootable. This looks a little, let's see. Oh, no, I'm seeing the wrong mouse. Did that shut off? No, still got a power light. Seems to be a single dash cursor on screen there. Greg M is, I think he's questioning my sanity. Do I want to drive a bus for noisy high school kids?
Yeah, that wouldn't be my first choice, that's for sure. They seem to have changed something. Those little bastards. Don't mind me, the latest posted build for 24H2, they've changed something. That's interesting. They've changed something. You can't do the upgrade from 10 on unsupported hardware. Interesting.
Is that by virtue of you trying to do it or reading somebody saying,
yeah.
okay,
There
so
is USB flash.
Interesting. Clean install I can do, but upgrade, no. So they've changed something. And even though I've created the ISO with Rufus with those specific bypasses in place, tells me they've changed something.
Oh, okay. Well, you might need a Rufus upgrade.
Yeah.
to-
Well, there
well, they'll
was some
fix it.
suspicion that that was going to be the problem.
Yeah. All right. So,
So-
Zavi, there is not a USB device connected right now. We've just got a black screen that does look like a image coming from the computer, I think. Yeah, it's still got a power light on. So when I'm going to press the power button to turn it off and see if we see something on screen that tells me there's the power button, no response. Now I got a no signal and the power light is off. So pressing the power button, we did get a visual signal. Just took a second or two. And that turned it off. Pressing the power button to turn it on. I'm gonna hit my replay save button. I'm announcing that because it will capture that. I have a replay buffer set up that captures the last 60 seconds that I'm experimenting with. The power's on and the no signal image went away, but did that just time out or did it go away because the computer is booting? Power light is on and I hear a fan. And we've got that single dash cursor on the upper left quadrant of the screen. I'm going to disconnect the HDMI cable and plug it back in. Yeah, we get a response. And then plugged it back in. And yeah, so we are getting a black screen signal from the computer. I've got in mind next is to try Control-Alt-Delete and then delete key to get back into BIOS or F12 for a boot menu. I don't recall ever having got to a boot menu on this computer with F12. We were trying F12 and F8. I don't think I ever got one. We got to boot menu when there was a macro reflect recovery partition or system. It's not a separate partition. All right, here's Control-Alt-Delete happening now. We'll call that non-responsive. And of course, this is a wireless keyboard, so having a wired keyboard is a little bit better. Because a wired keyboard will be recognized at a hardware level. A wireless keyboard has to have some amount of post functionality before that would work. So I just plugged in a wired keyboard, Control-Alt-Delete, get nothing. Okay, power off. 1, 2, 3, 4. Took 4 seconds for the black screen signal to go away. Pressing power to turn it on. And using delete key to get into BIOS. And I've seen some occasions where BIOS tells us what keys to use. Let's see, on the boot menu, do we have it there? No. Boot override down here. If I had a USB plugged in, I would expect it to show up here. So we got quiet boot enabled. Let's change that to disabled so we get some messages. Fast boot is turned off. Boot mode select is legacy. And our last choice that we did on CSM was we left storage on
Max says
UEFI.
hello.
Hello, Max. For those who don't know, that's Chris Garrett's dog. So I've changed that storage to legacy instead of UEFI. The internal drive is
Google says F7 to enter boot menu.
F7 to enter the boot menu. Thank you, Ran Israel and Google. Change boot option 1 to be the NVMe. Save configuration and reset. I'm tapping F7. Mondog says, according to his digital assistant, the key is F12. And the war is on between Google and a digital assistant. Can we call it a black screen of death if there's no error message? Do we just have no video?
Is it supposed to be doing now at this point?
Restarting. I do have a HDMI monitor here, so I'm disconnecting my capture device, plugging in the HDMI monitor. Power off on the computer. External HDMI monitor connected. Turning, let's see, what do I have to do to show you that? I think I'll do this on Zoom and switch over to Zoom and Spotlight because it's easier for me to turn that camera. Pin? Yeah, that'll do it. Okay, it's this monitor. Press the power button. I'd be expecting, because of that last change in BIOS, to get more detailed post messages. We get absolutely nothing. Plug into the second HDMI port. The ports are not numbered. Now I'm starting to wonder if we totally fried the computer. Okay. Control-Delete, followed by delete key. No response. Powering off the computer. Powering on the computer, and then delete key.
What if you disable Quiet Boot? That will show the Unidle post screen.
I did disable Quiet Boot. If somebody's not sure I did that, go back in DVR mode and see that. Check to confirm that, but that was my intention, is to disable Quiet Boot so that we would see more messages. Mystery. Restore Beelink original system. Restore C partition client image. Install drivers from the folder. It says V. Okay. I did Beelink original system. Restore C partition. Adjust the C partition, not all the partitions. Install the drivers from the folder. Well, that's going to be tough to do if I can't get anything to boot. I can't even get into BIOS anymore. Martin Hogg, restore defaults.
Got to get into the BIOS to do it.
Yeah, I mean, there's, I think these have, yeah, this has a reset button on it, clear CMOS button. So that would clear what I've done in CMOS. That's seeming pretty attractive to me right now because I can't get into, I can't get anything on screen. Well, here's another thing. We know that when we have these computers connected to power, that turning the power button off doesn't actually turn it completely off. So my next notion here is I'm going to hold down the power button for 10 seconds and then unplug the power. While I have it unplugged for extra measure, I'm going to hold down the power button to be sure I've totally drained capacitors. So the power plug is disconnected now. I guess I can show this power button, power disconnected, holding down the power button. At this point, there's no question capacitors are fully discharged. Plug it back in, and then power on, and I'm showing the monitor through Zoom. Did anybody confirm that it was quiet boot that I disabled? Greg M says internal CMOS battery. I think since this has a reset port to use a paper clip, I think we can do that instead of the internal CMOS battery. I hear the fan, power light is on, absolutely nothing on monitor. I'm going to go back to the first HDMI port only because that was working. Like that's totally irrelevant to do that. Here's that reset pinhole that a thin paper clip will fit in. And in lettering that I'm sure you can't see on camera, it says CLR CMOS. Pressing the power, well, let's see, I'll show you that there's your blue power button. I think you saw it before it went off. I found a paper clip. And I felt the button in there depress. I don't think you have to hold it down for any period of time, but I'm going to. I felt the button unpress, if that's a word. Power on. Showing you the monitor through Zoom. Power isn't on. Pressing the power button again. Would you believe? Oh boy. Oops, move to the right way. The power light is right here to the left of the power button. Press the power button and the light does not come on. Disconnect.
It's dead, Jim.
I think so. Oh, now the power light came on when I disconnected the power adapter. And I plugged it back in without pressing the power button and the light came on. That's just weird. Oh, we got life on the monitor. Well, I saw it when I was looking at OBS, but when I turned back to the monitor, that Beelink logo went away. I thought I saw a Beelink logo. Did I?
There was something.
Yeah, here it is. There's something. Okay. We're back to something. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm going to put that back on the capture device. So that did a reset for BIOS. So BIOS has gone back to default settings. Here's the capture. So now we should be able to get it back into BIOS, and it really did not like those changes. Ay, caramba. Okay, I did Control-Alt-Delete. Should be rebooting now. I'm hitting the delete key to get back into BIOS. And I didn't catch it, apparently. It was delete key for BIOS. Yeah, I'm sure it was. You might even have heard that I'm tapping faster now than I did on that last attempt, and that got me into BIOS. Ay, caramba. Okay, so let's see what changes. We'll first look at the boot menu. I went back to UEFI. The image that we have on the internal drive right now is a MBR image that came from a legacy BIOS. We have, I did the boot option of NVMe. As opposed to UEFI built-in EFI shell. Could there have been a problem with choosing that specific boot option? I don't know. Remember when I did that, I selected the NVMe, and perhaps the more correct choice is a built-in EFI shell. Maybe NVMe is like if you have a Linux operating system. I don't know. That's not my area. Down here we have UEFI network, application boot priorities. There's quiet mode is enabled. So that's what I did is I enabled quiet. No, wait a minute. No. This is reset to defaults. What I did previously is I disabled quiet mode so that we can see messages. Need to change, Wintermeat saying need to change the legacy of current image is MBR. And that was what I did originally when going through this whole issue. When I restored my client's image to this computer, which was a MBR image, I did a restart and got that gobbledygook screen, and then came into BIOS, changed it to legacy, and I went straight into his desktop. Now we're back to NVMe. Oh, NVMe, it's, yeah, that other EFI choice isn't even available here. I think I'll put this back to USB device as the first choice, NVMe as the second choice. Let's see what we're set on for CSM. This should have gone back to defaults, which is CSM support disabled. When I originally restored my client's legacy MBR image, I was able to boot without doing anything on this CSM support. All right, I'm going to try it at this point and see what we get. Okay. I'm just questioning whether did I have to go back and restore my client's image after changing BIOS settings to legacy. I do not know. I did not record any of that work. Rand says UEFI shell is the UEFI equivalent of command. Nobody uses it. All right, well, that makes sense. Didn't get into BIOS that last time because I wasn't aggressive enough, I think, on the delete key. Or maybe it's some other reason. Oh, well, that's fun. Oh, that wired keyboard that I was trying to use, I have it tied together with a wired mouse. And I think I plugged in the mouse rather than the keyboard. Yeah, there. Now the wired keyboard with a delete key. All right, that got me into BIOS. The wireless keyboard should have worked for getting me into BIOS because it is still, the transceiver is still connected. But this time I got into BIOS with the wired keyboard. Now, so you got legacy boot mode. What are we at currently with CSM? So CSM, will turn that to enabled. And boot option filter. See, it seems to me like this ought to be set for UEFI and legacy. I don't know what boot option filter does. Down here, storage is set to UEFI. We've tried this before to put it on. We've tried it both ways with UEFI or legacy. I'm going to give chat room a chance to point out something that I may have missed or your opinions. I'm kind of interested in booting to the Macrium USB and see if the drive is visible, and if it is, the internal drive visible, then do the restore operation again. And use the verify. Okay. Not seeing any opinions on that. So with those changes, we'll let it try to restart again, not expecting it to work because we've been down this road before, and then go do the restore operation again. Did you ever try to use Macrium fix boot issues in its options? No.
I have a sledgehammer that will fix it.
Thank you, Chris, for the sledgehammer idea. Yeah, we did not do the fix boot issues. And now that you mention that, I did get into the fix boot options when I did this original operation on this computer, but I think I tried that before changing to legacy in BIOS. Oh boy, now I'm back to a black screen. I think we're back to the black screen problem, where we're not even going to be able to get into BIOS. Control-Alt-Delete on the wired keyboard, watching the power light. No response. Press the power button, release, no response. Oh, yeah, it did turn off. Turning on, got power
Put the PC
light.
on the school bus and forget about it? LOL.
Put the PC on the school bus or put it under the wheels? All right, I got into BIOS, so we're not back to the totally unresponsive computer. I have USB device, so I'm going to plug in the Macrium thumb drive. Restart the computer. I do not need to request a boot menu. And just to remind, we're on UEFI and Legacy, and we're on Storage Legacy. Greg M says the date is back to January 1st, 2022. I'm seeing December 12th, 2023. Oh, down here seeing system date of 4/27. Oh, we got the right date down here. And 142. So this looks like the right date and time down here. No, that was build date and time. So Greg M says something I just noticed, the date is back to the current date before it was. Oh, all right. When we reset BIOS to defaults, that could have set it back to the original date, but we haven't been anywhere that would have let it restore the date. We haven't been connected to the internet. We haven't even had an operating system up. All right. Martin, maybe the time has come to do a clean install of Windows, restore your image. I think I can just restore the original. Well, I could restore the original Beelink image, except that that is a GPT partition. I'd have to switch back to UEFI mode. But my intention, my thought at this point is to restore my client's legacy MBR image and do with verify, and I'll be doing this restore while BIOS is set for legacy, except that it's not booting. Will this thumb drive boot in legacy mode? It should. Control-Alt-Delete. Both of those keyboards, no response. Press power button, release. Power light went out. Power on. Hands off the keyboards. So we got a black screen signal again. I did have the Macrium drive in Wintermute, but oh, currently it is in, yes. Power button press and release. Try that again. No dice. Holding power button down. I'm just trying things now. Hammering on the delete keys to see if I can get back into BIOS, but I need to reach over here and press a button so I can even see the screen. Oh, yeah, BIOS. All right. All right, switch the storage back to UEFI rather than legacy. Feel like we've been through all the things that make sense and we're not getting the results expected. This shows USB device SanDisk and it is still plugged in. So the only thing I've changed now is I changed that one setting from legacy back to UEFI. Rick confirming that I have done all this already. Wintermute says, see the SanDisk now, no Windows Boot Manager on the NVMe though. The Windows Boot Manager was only showing up when we had UEFI mode. We're still in legacy mode for BIOS. Yeah, that quiet boot disabling, that never did help us with anything. Could that be just faulty? Because that's when we ran into the trouble, is when we turned off the quiet boot. And I think that is still set that way. All right, so it looks like I'm going to have to use the power button again. Holding power button. Greg M., have you verified BIOS is current for this device? I have not looked up BIOS. Build date and time here shows December 12th, 2023. There may be BIOS updates, but the BIOS shouldn't be for this basic of a operational function. Yeah, so the question about, let's see, the Windows Boot Manager. I think it shows up when we go to UEFI BIOS. Yeah, see, that's when we get a EFI shell. There's that quiet boot is disabled. So we'll go back and enable that. Now, if that is the solution, then we need to keep consistent. We need to keep this legacy boot mode if we want to actually determine that that quiet boot was the culprit. It was at that time when we disabled that we ran into trouble. I'm 98% sure. So here I've only changed that one item. Wintermute saying take out all the USBs. I have not done that at the moment. What model Beelink is this? Mini S is what it's called. I'm just turning it upside down. Right here it shows Mini S. And on the label here, you've got more information. I'll try to get you close enough to actually see. I'll focus that. I have auto-focusing turned off because it's just messy when it tries to refocus at times when you don't want it to do that. Let's see, I'm going to see what I can do to make that right side up for you. There. All right, you could
Hand backup for function keys.
Duplicate that tab if you want to pause it there. I'm taking that off screen. We still got a blank screen here. And that last SpeakerBot message said pan back for function keys. Pan back. Oh, is that label? Tell us about the function keys? Is that what you're telling me? Oh, yes, it does. Delete for BIOS, F7 for boot options. Good catch. Ran. All right, so that fixing the quick boot setting did not get us back in. Control-Alt-Delete. No response. Holding down the power button. Didn't hold it down long enough. Holding it down again. Power is off. Somebody want to remove the USB, so I've just done that. Power on. Attempting to get into BIOS. Ran Israel. F7 vindication. Yay. Bunch of you asking if the thumb drive requires UEFI. I'm pretty sure that I tried that. Thinking the same thing. Apparently I missed the BIOS key press. Power on, hammering delete key on the wired keyboard. And Rick says I did. And I think he's pretty sure he's saying that I did try booting UEFI mode to that thumb drive. I very much remember that, doing that, but
it's 5 o'clock. I'm gonna have to bail on you.
All right, thank you, Jim. Thank you for hanging out.
See ya.
All right,
Good luck.
yeah. Well, I might wind up shutting down soon because I'm about had as long as I want here. So CSM support is still enabled. What would likely be? Let's go all back to UEFI. Let's just do default settings. See if I can get back to a Macrium Reflect boot. Let's see, restore defaults. So with restoring defaults, that gave me, with UEFI, that put the NVMe in the #1 position. I'm going to just make a change there and confirm that restore defaults actually did that. No, yes, it did. Okay, restore defaults definitely puts NVMe into this slot, not the EFI shell. And I'm going to put USB device in the #1 position, NVMe into the 2nd position. CSM is disabled. We're on UEFI boot. Putting the Macrium Reflect thumb drive, the one that's labeled Windows 11, although that is irrelevant. Save changes and reset or restart. Yeah, there's Beelink logo. This should be booting to the Macrium Reflect thumb drive. When I originally restored my client's legacy MBR system, I did it while BIOS was set for UEFI mode. One suspicion that is on my mind is the possibility that the restore operation did not work well or did not work right. You know what? Another thing, somebody mentioned this during this session, is to just restore the C partition. That rings a bell of familiarity, as though I'm thinking that I did do that in my previous work with this computer. You know what, for consistency, I'm going to actually put this Silverstone in the front USB. Turn the computer back right side up. If I browse for an image file now, I don't think it's going to see that Silverstone. Yes, it does. So I don't have to do that refresh. When it comes up, it will just come up automatically.
Read chat, please.
Zvi Menorah, can you check with disk part if the NVMe is GPT or MBR? Sure. Well, well, Macro Reflect is going to show it when we select the restore operation. It shows the partition type, but because you asked, I will do it that way. Disk part and list disk. Yeah, so it's showing MBR only by virtue of the fact that we don't have a check mark for GPT.
MBR, okay.
All right, so we're agreed that it's MBR. And somebody, let's see, Frosty, what shows up when you click the tab Create Backup? What are you? Oh, okay, the Silverstone isn't showing up here until I do a refresh. Yeah, now the Silverstone shows up. But when I went browsing for an image file, I did not have to first do a refresh. Is that why you were asking that, Frosty? All right, so the image I'm wanting to restore is my client's image, which is already on the drive. So we should see the partitions, the content showing up as the same size from this restore image. And if I click restore here, we'll see 111.46, and that's not the same. That's very much different. I picked the right one. That's the file name I'm wanting to restore. 32.2, that's different. 443, 445, those are different. Why? The partition, the C drive that's on the drive is substantially larger. The drive is showing an MBR. The backup image is an MBR. I was expecting this 111.46 to be reflected here. I don't see any reason why that is so much larger. Certainly implies something may have gone wrong. I'd have to go back and look at the video to see if did I do something different than what I recollect. Trying to restore my client's HP computer's image. Yeah, I'm going to cancel this and go look at those again. Browse for an image file. There's no question that this is the right drive. It's the 1 terabyte. Go to the Macrium backups. Certainly not Big Beast Baby. It's not the Beelink original. It's not Big Beast. There's no possible mix-up or confusion there. Restore. Now, the proposal earlier about just restoring the C partition, that would be a valid thing to do after restoring the original B-link. However, the original B-link is a GPT type, partition type, and restoring the C drive from an MBR, I have no idea if that's a valid thing to do, to restore a C drive that comes from MBR to a drive that has GPT. So there I did copy partitions. Now we see these numbers. They all match now. I'll turn off my picture-in-picture. And then click this verify image before restore. Go to next. And just for extra thoroughness, go to advanced options. I'll just click down through each of these so we've displayed them. There's an image verification, master boot record, replace with master boot record from the backup. Power saving options after restore. No, we don't care about that. Okay, finish. Continue. I'd like to check on the size of those partitions after this restore operation completes, so that we can see the size match. Currently, BIOS, I believe, is set for UEFI mode, so we'll need to change that, and we'll do that before attempting to boot on the restored partition. And that would be under the theory that I don't think is true, but under the theory that actually rebooting on the MBR partition while in UEFI mode might actually make some changes to the partition. I don't think it does. Another thing we can do before attempting the reboot is doing the fix boot problems. There's also the restore to dissimilar hardware. I did try that when I originally restored my client's image to this computer and still had that gobbledygook screen because at that point in time I had not set UEFI, or I had not set boot mode to legacy. I see the link for the drivers for the Minis 12 Pro. I wanted to do this using that export drivers process because I think if that works smooth, that might be an easier way to accomplish this. I wanted to try it to find out. Who would have thought that I would have all these problems just getting to the point of trying it? It is quite possible that I did the right combination when I did this last week off camera. And I have not replicated that sequence correctly. So many variables involved, I just don't know. I did do the DISM option to get the drivers, Greg M. That was earlier in this video. I guess I'm not sure if you're giving me that as a piece of advice or just agreeing that I should be able to do that. Frosty, Macrium's Fix Boot Problems option in the menu has become my go-to to fix for boot problems. Sometimes takes 2 tries to work. Rick says, let's get it up and running first. I could have gone for the Fix Boot options, except when I saw that the size of the content on the C drive was so drastically different from the backup image. That is not right. Yes, Greg M, I do. What this is the objective is to restore the Beelink drivers to my customer's HP image after restoring it. I see you're away from keyboard for a while. This is what, about 3 minutes, 4 minutes last time? In Israel, after the restore is complete, start another restore just to compare the numbers. Yes, exactly. My thoughts exactly. And then we're also seeing here, this is the 111.46. Let's see, you can't see me pointing with that mouse. 111.46. That's what we saw for the size of the C drive. So we'll configure another restore operation just to see that the numbers match. And then, let's see, fix boot problems. I'm thinking that it might tell us that we need to change the boot type from UEFI to legacy. And that's what I'm thinking that I missed today compared to what I did last week. And we're back to operator error. Although I haven't been showing chat on screen, I've got it visible to me in OBS. Greg M asked, did I expand to fill the space on the NVMe? I didn't need to do that this time because the partition sizes on the NVMe were already matching the partitions we were restoring, because we already went through it. That was the last thing that we did as far as restoring an image. So the total partition size was already matching. It was just how much content was on each of the drives was different. Thank you, Frosty. Who's not here that we can blame the operator error on? Well, I haven't seen Ken Stout for a while, so he's my go-to for that. The Ken Stout hex. Darren's saying we can blame it on Darren. That is very generous of you. if somebody can scroll back to see how long this restore operation took last time, if it takes a different amount of time this time, that would be interesting to know. Feels to me like it's taken longer. Greg is saying he thought the other restore was faster. Restoring the original image was very fast. It was like 2 minutes. Was it under 2 minutes? Restoring my client's image was a few minutes. We probably have more to talk about then. It felt faster. Danielle saying, I wonder if you get a better macro reflect restore flash drive when it's made on the target system. Does it get configured for the target? Yes. Definitely, because it will use if there's any storage drivers that are present on your target system, then they'll automatically get put on that drive. So it's safer to use a flash drive that's created on the destination system, but not required. And I think even, let's see, what is it? No, when you create a Windows installation media, it'll ask if you want to do it for this computer or for other computers. And I think that makes a difference as to what drivers are on the bootable Windows installation drive. Seldom Ball, since verify is enabled, it should take twice as long. Oh yes, it's going to have to do the verify after it finishes the restore operation, then it does a verify. Arnold Albert says about 7 minutes. You think it was 7 minutes last time? That could be. Right now we are performing the restore operation. So after these graphs finish, it's going to finish the current progress. The current should be this 2 of 3. Overall progress shouldn't be farther ahead than the current progress. I've noticed that weird before. Does this overall progress mean overall for the restore operation and the current progress includes the verify? It doesn't make sense to me that the current progress is not as far along as the overall progress, unless it's catching up. Is this catching up? That could be. Yeah, it is, isn't it? The gap between these two. Is the gap closing? Ran Israel, it said 143, but seemed longer. I think the 143 was restoring the original Beelink image. You'd have to look at the restore operation after that one, because we restored the original Beelink image and exported the drivers. Then we restored my client's image, and that's the one that we never got it to boot. And it was definitely longer than the 1 minute 43. Overall counts the previous partitions as well. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So, but the only previous partition was that small 1 of 3. It was 32 megabytes, really tiny. This is catching up. The overall progress, I would think, would also include the next partition, which is also short. So this current progress might finish before the overall progress does. It's got to catch up here, and it is. So it might reach 100% and then do a really quick third current progress. It looks so close. Is it going to do it? They're even, neck and neck. There. The current is finished, and then a quick current progress is going. Overall progress is at 100% while current progress is still running. Restore complete. Oh, it already did the verify? No, that verify was before. That verify image was before the restore happened. All right, 26.8 gigabits per second, right? 3.6 gigabits per second. Overall time 13 minutes. That's, somebody was saying 6 or 7 minutes. Arnold Albert said 7 minutes, so we look like to be about twice that. All right. Other tasks. No, restore. Fix Windows boot problems. Now, we haven't actually encountered that yet, but we want to go look at starting a restore operation. So here's that image still selected. Click restore, and there's the 111.46, 111.46, 32.2, 34.1, 443.7, 445.4. You have some explaining to do, Lucy. Why do those not match exactly? Shouldn't they? Oh, this one doesn't match exactly. 111.46, 111.47. Huh. Yeah, here's the verify image before restore. So that happened prior. Frosty's horse came in second. Just reading some messages. Verify image, then restore. Different cluster sizes on the disks, maybe. Yeah, I suppose that could be. Percentage-wise, it's not huge, but it's noticeable. All right. So I know that I had done the redeploy to new hardware and wound up concluding it was not necessary, I think. And then I had also done this, but I think I had done this fix Windows boot problems after I tried to restart and it failed. Let's go ahead and do fix Windows boot problems, see if it tells us about the BIOS settings. Installed Windows operating system. So it wants me to choose an operating system and then click next. Each installation should be listed here. If there was more than one, then you'd have to choose one, but it looked to me like the next button was available even before I clicked on that. Select which partition your PC should boot from. We certainly don't want to boot from these are both the USB devices. We don't want that. Partition that it boots from. Shouldn't it be the C partition? The active partition is loaded from the master boot record. This can be any primary partition on the boot disk. Well, is the master boot record in the system reserved partition? Ran Israel is saying system reserved is the correct choice. Yeah, that's what I'm feeling. And that's the default. That's what it was pre-selected on. The system reserved is that's the EFI partition. It has the information about which partition that's on the drive that we should be using. Yeah. And that should be active. This screen does not tell us the active partition. We could go, wouldn't disk part tell us the active partition? Yeah, Rand saying disk part. And that would be showed with an asterisk, right? Oh, we got to go into the disk. Select disk 0, and then list vol. Is that right? No, list part. I was expecting to see an asterisk indicating the active partition. Am I doing something wrong there? Select partition 1. Spelling. There's the asterisk. That indicates the active. Do we call it active partition or is it active volume? Say we listed a disk, selected part 1, and listed the volumes. So active volume, the asterisk is the selected. Oh, that's right, it's selected, not telling us. System reset. I don't recognize anything there telling us an active partition. Select the disk and the command is detail disk. So it was disk 0. The command is detail disk. I don't think I'm familiar with that. Detail partition, detail disk. All right, detail partition. Select a partition. Partition 1. I bet 4 letters is probably sufficient for that command on either word, right? There's active. Active, yes. I think that was just an exercise in thoroughness. I think we were pretty much in agreement that that would be the active partition. Reset the boot disk ID. Replace the master boot record. Your computer will not be able to start if the master boot record is missing or corrupt. Replace the boot sector code. It's called from the master boot record. If this is corrupt, your computer cannot start. Rebuild the boot configuration database and boot INI files. I don't see any reason to not do these. There's no next button. There's a finish button. Uncheck the last one, Rand says. Rebuild the boot configuration database. I'll do that. Do you have an explanation why you're advising that? It's essential for the active partition to locate any operating systems on your disk. The boot INI file is only required if you have a Windows version earlier than Vista. Oh, okay. The boot INI is only required if you have an earlier version, which we don't. But the BSOD is essential for the active partition to locate any operating systems, but it's probably there. Rand Israel says the boot problem seems to be pre-BSOD related. Okay. We don't know that we still have a boot problem. We haven't tried booting since that restore. If the BSOD was faulty, there would be another error screen. Does it take a while for it to do that? This is done now. We'll restart and see what we get. Hammering on the delete key because it didn't tell us that we need to change BIOS mode. Power light is still on. There's a Beelink logo. Oops, that keyboard's no longer plugged in. Oh, doggone it. We've got... Oh, I don't want to interrupt it. I still had the USB devices connected. As long as we're here, after making those, doing those fixes, did that make a difference to the size of the content on those partitions? So I'll go back and pretend that I want to do another restore operation just to see the sizes of the content. 111.42, which is now smaller than what's in that image. I think previously it was larger. And then that I think is the same amount of difference, and that looks similar difference. Cancel that, pull the drives out. Try a restart. And hammering on delete key. Yeah, missed BIOS. I'll plug in the wired keyboard. Control-Alt-Delete. No response. Oh, well, wait a minute. Did I plug the wrong USB? I got those, a wired mouse and wired keyboard twist tied together, and I plugged in the wrong one. Yep, this keyboard's working. Control-Alt-Delete, and then hammering on the delete key. There's BIOS. Change from UEFI to legacy. My recollection is that's all I did to fix it last time. I meant last time, I mean last week. No. All right, well, we're 2 hours, 40 minutes. I need a break. Oh, exiting from that shell got me straight into BIOS. Intermute saying enable CSM. That would be the next logical thing. Just everything we do that fails, there's going to be just try this one more thing. Storage, you want to leave storage on UEFI and this boot option filter. So there's these two options. I'll let you choose what to do because I don't feel very confident that either of these will work. Boot option legacy only. boot option legacy only instead of using either. We didn't do this. We didn't say legacy only. What are you thinking in chat about storage? Oh, RAN is at 3 hours and 40? Oh, it is 3 hours and 40. It's not a new record. It's a new recent record. Save and boot. So you want to leave storage on UEFI. So we did CSM, leave storage the way it is, UEFI from Londog. Rick saying go with what we have now. RAN is agreed. Place your bets. I don't think F4 key was necessary. There was the menu option for save and reset. Save would just be so you can save and stay in it. No dice. Exit gets straight into CMOS. I'll just confirm that the settings we just did are still in place. It's not in place. What? Didn't I do save changes and exit right there? Whoa, I'm going to need to go back and see that in replay. So here's the options you asked for. Escape out of there, go right back in, and those stuck there. And you are wanting F4 save and exits on the right side of the screen. Let's see, mouse isn't live on that character-based screen, so bottom right says F4 to save and exit. And what I thought I did was pressed enter on this choice of save changes and exit. Now wait a minute, save changes and exit. What is save changes and reset? I think that's what I pressed enter on. Reset the system after saving the changes. Yeah, so reset, they'd use the word reset, but it's restart. Okay, so here comes the F4 key. F4 by itself didn't react. FN and F4, there's a reaction. Save configuration and exit. Pressing enter, apparently I'm highlighting yes. Yeah, approved, because when I press the left arrow key when I'm on yes, it doesn't wrap around the back of the menu to highlight no. Wintermute says reset resets the CMOS to default. So while yeah, we have that when you choose restore defaults does that, but on this save changes and reset on the right side says reset the system after saving the changes. So that wording implies to me that they're using the word reset in place of the word restart. That doesn't make sense to me that that would be resetting the system. This one down here discards changes and reset without saving changes. This save changes, discard changes, and not exit, not restart. Down here, if you want to actually restore defaults, you choose this. Save changes and exit. That's, even though it uses, now wait a minute, okay, here, save changes and reset, save changes and exit. Exit to some other screen? I don't know. Save changes and exits. I already did F4. Function key F4 again. And then I entered, which would the next prompt after that was to restart, right? Or was it, I think it said reset. Ugh. Same thing. Did the CSM change stick? Did not. Okay, come over here now. Function key F4, save configuration, and exit. That's what I just did last time around. I can't let go of this yet. We've got to try a couple more options. We've got to be able to get back into BIOS and see that those settings are still set the way that we wanted. Thought just crossed my mind. What if that pinhole BIOS reset button was stuck in the down position? Yeah, Lawn Dog, we already did UEFI and Legacy, and that didn't work multiple times. Yes, it should work, but lots of things we've done should work. Am I back to a black screen? Yeah, I had intended that time to save changes and then go back and check that menu, but I thought that that F4 was just going to save without exiting. I need to save without exiting to go back to that menu. That's what I was intending to do. I agree with you, Greg. I don't think that reset was stuck. I'm just telling you that it crossed my mind. I rejected it. Oh, I should be hammering on. Okay, this will get me the word exit, enter, should get me to BIOS. Good. Okay. We did the both option before and it did not work. Did not give us what we need. So what I want is save and don't exit. Here's this option, save changes. Then we'll go back and look and make sure nothing, that our changes are actually still present. Yes, still present. Now I want to restart without another save. I'm thinking escape and quit without saving because it's already saved. I don't want to let it save again because it seems to be losing our settings. Save.
Look at boot tab.
Boot tab. We're on legacy. All right, this is the first time that we've been able to see that the changes are still present. I'm not going to choose one of those options that says reset like that one. Not going to do that. I want to just restart. This is save and exit. I'm going to hit escape, quit without saving, yes, because we've already saved. If this works, I'm going to go have a beer. If this doesn't work, I'm going to go have a beer. It's Miller time. Oh, caramba. Okay, we'll go back into CSM. Do you think it's still going to be... Our changes will still be there? Here we go. Your last chance to make a prediction. Yeah! What? What the heck? What the heck? Use your own expletive instead of the word heck. This is just not right. After a reasonable break, I think the next thing I'll be looking at is a BIOS update, thinking that there is something just basically wrong with this BIOS. Down at the bottom, we see a copyright 2023.
Go have 2 beers, Doug. You deserve it regardless.
Thank you, Arnold. All right. We're ending. We're done. I will try to, I will probably record everything. I don't think I'll do, I don't know what I'll do live stream.
Leave it on UEFI boot option.
Leave it on UEFI boot option. Could CMOS battery be failing in a brand new computer from Beelink? Yes. Selden, I have a vague recollection that some BIOS systems do undo incompatible settings. Check the battery while you're at it. If you reboot and go into BIOS from a cold start, does CSM still show disabled? Good night, Zvi. Thanks for hanging. I will keep all of these chat comments available to me by pausing the replay video. That way I don't have to wait until YouTube does its thing to make chat messages available. And I will pursue that later. Thanks for hanging around, everybody. Jiminy Christmas. Goodbye.